Alrighty, what is going on, everyone? And welcome to Phoenix Wright Trials and Tribulations. You know the drill. Let's get right into it. This won't be as long as the stream as I originally intended it to be, just because of some stuff going on. Check Twitter if you want to know the details, which is Zach Songs MA. In case you're wondering, I give updates on when I stream as well. But I just really want to, stream. Hey, Nick. What is it this time? You won't believe how many people are here for the trial. Well, it is a murder case. What are you talking about? They're here for the trial next door. Next door? Why don't you know this, Nick? They're having Detective Atmey's trial today. Detective Atmey? They said they're gonna try him as mask to mask. Already? That was fast. Oh, I'd love to see mask to mask trial. I know. What was that, Ron? By the way, where's Pearls? Oh, she went back home. She said she can't neglect her training anymore. I know you... I don't even know. It's somebody. Pearls has really gotten into her training lately, huh? Yeah, ever since that incident last year. Yeah, okay. Please don't ignore me! Just want to make sure. Oh, Mr. Delight, good morning. No one likes me. No one would even notice me, even if I killed someone. Come on, don't be silly. Of course people will notice you. Wait a sec. You don't mean you're the murderer? No, I'm just a poor thief. No, wait, that's not right. A thief can't really be put... Let's see, according to Mr. Delight, from his second crime on, he was following a bunch of set plans. Plans that somebody else had been sending him to help him commit the heist. Is there a way to, like, keep your display on for longer? Auto lock. I don't know iPhones. I will look at this later. Can you use a connection between the thief and the murder, Nick? It's possible, but today's trial is a race against the clock. Wait, hold on. I messed up. Yeah, I just said that. Huh? How come? Let's just take our time like always. I'm afraid that's not an option. Oh no. Oh, I thought we were flashing back. I don't know why. Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Ron Delight. I wish my phone could stay on for more than 5 seconds. Maybe I do this, so it'll be like I'm always getting ready to chat. The defense is ready, Your Honor. You ready? Preparation is the last refuge of the week. Okay, settle down, everybody. Let's begin with your opening statement, Mr. Gatto. He's got the judge in the palm of his hands. Yet again, hands, not hams. Ron Delight is simply too young to be sent to war. That's all. Oh, I'm afraid I have no idea what that means, Mr. Gatto. Ha! I need to get out more, Your Honor. Life is war, but that is exactly why you must be precise in your wording. That's all my statement means. You understand now, right? Yes. Well then, let me briefly summarize the events of this case, the details. Well, the judge is taking charge like he knows what's going on for a change. The victim is Kane Bullard, CEO of KB Security. His body was found in a safe at approximately 9 a.m. on the morning of the 13th. However, the time of death was estimated as 1 a.m. on the previous day. And that's when our little lost kitten dropped the ball. That little lost kitten is, of course, the defendant. Very well then, Mr. Gatto. Please call your first witness. I never drink more than 17 cups of coffee during any given trial, but the first one is always the best. Mr. Gatto, your witness? Okay then, let's hear what the defendant, Mr. Ron Delight, has to say for himself. The defendant? Well, Mr. Wright, does the defense have any objections? It may be a bit of a disadvantage having the defendant testify, but... I remember when Mia was defending me. She allowed me to testify so she could do the cross-examination. She put a lot of trust in me back then. We have no more objections, Your Honor. The defense will allow Mr. Delight to testify. Ha! You've got guts, trite. Alright then, Mr. Ron Delight, please take the stand. Oh my god, I swear to god, if my phone... Here she is, actually, hold on. Pause the stream, stop everything! Here, I'll just... Twitch. Better not. There. I don't want. Sorry guys, it's real interesting. My Wi-Fi is garbage because if you ever... Don't get Rogers, that's all I'm trying to say. I know where it's going with that, so I just finished it off before it even started. You did it, didn't you? Yes. What? No, that's not true. For a moment there, I thought we'd set the record for the shortest trial ever. Well, Mr. Delight already looks plenty guilty with that face he's making. Once he opens his big mouth, he'll probably put the last nail in his own coffin. Ha! Very well. Now then, can you tell me something? If you didn't kill Bullard, why did you go to KB Security? Well, that's kind of hard to say. Boy, I wish I could go home. Now then, let's hear some testimony about what happened. Let's hurry this trial up. Need to get home for dinner. That evening, around 1 a.m., I went to see Mr. Bullard in in his office at KB Security. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. I'd been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was. There's still more to that. 1 a.m., the exact time the murder took place. The weak get washed away by the tides of fate. The strong drink it up. What? Ha! It's bitter today, too. Just like my destiny. You'd never know that from the way he's chucking it down. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please. You betcha, Your Honor. I visit to KB Security. That evening, around 1 a.m., I would see Mr. Bullard with it. Hold it! 1 a.m., huh? You're absolutely sure about that? Yes. That's what my watch said when I was entering the CEO's office. No. Actually, I'm not really sure. My watch was slow, and my internal clock was also a bit... 1 a.m. That's the exact time the victim, Mr. Bullard, was murdered, correct? It's too late for a coffee date, that's for sure. Blackmail letter got it ordered me to go there. It ordered you there? It was the first time I got a blackmail letter that ordered me to go somewhere. Does that mean you've gotten other blackmail letters then? Oh, of course. They say things like, steal this or take that. Why don't you save those for later, Mr. Delight? Please don't say any more. Now, what should I do? So what did the blackmail letter in question say? It said to bring $50,000. Money, eh? Perfect motive for committing crime. Oh, but wait! I never intended to pay that money anyways. Oh, is that right? After all, he had nothing to hold over my head. I had nothing to be afraid of. An important point indeed. What next? Let's have that added to your testimony. Yes, sir. Ha! A muddy mudskipper in outer space has a better chance of surviving than I do. Wait, what does the blackmail letter say again? I don't think that's correct, friend. Slot 1, because why not? No, I was trying to say like, hey, but aren't you like mask to mask? Oh, wait, no. No, okay. I don't know, I'm trying to leap. Yeah, you know what, now that I'm thinking about that, that was a pretty big leap to say like that might, yeah, okay, never mind. I might not have anything actually. I wanted to use the fact that he was fired, but that doesn't appear to be anywhere. guess I'll just hold. Just what were you being blackmailed about anyways? The blackmail letter said if you don't want your identity revealed, correct? I'm sure it's referring to the whole mask-to-mask thing. But I wasn't worried. Mr. Bullard didn't have anything on me. He didn't? Anyway, I don't care what anyone says about me. I couldn't tell if that was a real dog upstairs or if it was just a video. So that's why Mr. Light believes you. He doesn't believe he's mathematics. That's why I knew they were just hollow threats. You used to be a security chief for KB Security, right? Yes, that's right. Security chief? You? And yet, a year ago you were fired without notice. Revenge for an old grudge? A perfect motive for murder, wouldn't you say? This isn't good. Maybe we should change the subject? How was he fired? Mr. Delight, please tell us why you were fired from your job. Well... The world is filled with those who have said, I wish I had never asked that. Okay, then I take it back. Defendant, please answer the question. Well, I needed money. You needed money? Well, you see, Jessie loves to spend it. It's kind of her hobby. Not exactly the best hobby in the world, huh, Nick? My salary wasn't nearly enough, so I stole data from the company. Come again? KB Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies, and since I was a security team chief, you stole some data and sold it. Mr. Bullard found out, and I was fired immediately. What? I wish I had never asked that. I was somehow able to keep it secret and made it seem like I had quit on my own. What is it, Nick? You don't look so good. Someone who brings harm to their company is fired as punishment. You'd do well to remember that. He sure told you. So you admit that you stole data from your company, is that correct? Yes, I'm sorry. This is a very important fact. Please add it to your testimony. Oh man, this whole thing just took a big turn for the worse, crashed, and blew up. It's gonna take the jaws of life to rip this case from the clutches of disaster. Oh no. But Jessie doesn't know about that. Objection! She does. Why would you do something like that? Well, for Jessie's hobby, what else? Wasting money, huh? It's not a waste! So Miss Light doesn't know that her husband was fired, does she? So it would seem. I'm not sure what to think about couples who keep secrets like that from each other. I can't believe it. This case has gotten even Maya to think seriously about couples. Please try to stay focused, Mr. Wright. Wasn't much to his testimony, was there? Sounds like he's avoiding something. At least, that's what it sounds like to me. Uh-oh, I've got a bad feeling about this. You better be careful. If we don't find a way to make him spill the beans, we'll never get closer to the truth. Yeah. The only thing I can think of is this, but I don't really know. I had an idea. Where is it? No, okay. I was gonna say like, hey, look, you look the exact same in this photo, but no. So I guess it's this. Selling company secrets. Is there anything I have on this? I don't know. Cause. Oh wait, oh wait, can I hold this now and be like, yep, okay, cool.
Objection.
Tisk tisk. I'm afraid that reason isn't gonna hold up anymore. What do you mean? The victim had no proof the defendant was masked to mask, but you were the one who stole company secrets only 1 year earlier. But that was all over with once I was fired. But it is true that the fact I stole secrets was kept under wraps. Even so, there was no reason for me to pay up now, a whole year later. Is that really true? What is it, Nick? The fact that Ron was stealing company data. I wonder if he would have had a problem if that ever became public knowledge. Yes, he would. Mr. Delight, I believe you have been in considerable trouble if your identity as a company data thief was made public. Mr. Wright, what are you trying to do by bullying your own client? Ha! Men are like colonies of bacteria. The more heat you apply, the faster they grow. That's exactly right. Well then, feel free to keep up the heat, my little lawyer amigo. Little lawyer amigo? Yes, now come on, provide some evidence to back up your assertion. Why would Mr. Delight want to keep his data stealing secret from going public? Save state. I have a hunch. I don't know if it's correct. Mr. Delight, what you said just now doesn't match what you told me yesterday. Huh? What doesn't? I think you must have been scared, very scared, of having a certain person find out your secret. Well, yeah, I knew it. Yes! Oh, that was a bit of a shot in the dark for me. A certain person? Miss Desiree Delight, the defendant's wife. What? But listen to me, my Desi, she's... Looks like if I just sit back and relax, the fun will end before it truly begins. Gatto. Yes, we know, it was all your wife's fault. What do you mean? Mr. Delight stole company data to pay for his wife's spending habit, for which he was fired. Unable to face his own wife, someone used this dirty little secret to blackmail him. And that is how this murder came about. Oh. No! Everything is falling neatly into place for him. Don't talk about my Desi like that, or you'll be sorry. Wow. Well, it seems we've learned a great deal of things here so far. What do you think, Nick? I don't think it was possible to get so thoroughly whipped in just 20 minutes. Wow, it's actually been 21 minutes. And that's not counting the 3-minute startup for the stream starting soon thing, so that's pretty good. Clearly there was sufficient motive for murder. He stole data for his wife, and he killed to protect his secret. A family man who cared just a little too much. The motive is clear. Let's move on. What happened at the crime scene at 1 in the morning, Mr. Delight? Come now, tell us. We're all ears. Witness testimony. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. Suddenly, I was hit on the forehead. After that, I remember being a bit dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. When I came to, Mr. Bullard was lying there, dead. I see. Suddenly hit on the forehead, huh? I believe the detective from yesterday provided similar testimony. Said that Master Mash struck him on the head from behind. Of course, since Atme turned out to be the culprit himself, that was all a lie. Ha! No one's gonna believe a pathetic lie like that. What are you saying? I really was attacked! We'll find out if what you say is true or not during the cross-examination. Got that, Mr. Trite? Don't go easy just because he's your client. If I see any sign that you are, I'll treat you to another cup of my special blend. You don't need to worry about that, Mr. Gatto. I have faith in Ron. I know he didn't do it. So the big thing is this. That? Could you please clarify what you were referring to? Why, my Master Mask costume, of course. Wait just a moment. Master Mask? Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? Just to be on the safe side, I dressed as Master Mask. And then, I descended upon the office of the CEO of KB Security. What? Nick, did you know about this? He never told me this. I don't recall him ever mentioning it to me either. Even I didn't know that. Seems our little friend really loves to keep secrets. I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. Wait, that's not right. You know how sometimes things just slip your mind? Ha! My 6th cup of coffee is staring up at me coldly. At any rate, we can't ignore this new piece of information. Witness, please correct your testimony. I'd have been killed if I didn't wear my mask costume. Not that. Why were you dressed up as Master Mask? Why? Because I'm Master Mask, of course.
What are you talking about? Master Mask's trial is being held next door.
Yes, I guess so. Anyway, at that time, I thought I was being blackmailed over the Master Mask issue. So I thought I should go as him, just to be safe. Oh boy. Let me tell you, it's a real pain to move around with that cape. That's why it took a lot longer than I expected.
Took a lot longer?
What is he talking about?
Press harder, hold on. What do you mean by took a lot longer?
Oh, opening the safe, of course. My cape got caught on the safe door, you see? This all happened when I was hiding Mr. Bullard's body.
What was that? Back up a second.
Yes?
You were the one that hid the body in the safe?
Well, yeah.
Inconceivable! Why? Just why? What reason could you have? What were you thinking?
Question. When does somebody toss their dirty shoes in the washing machine?
Oh, what?
The answer is simple. When they take them off.
As usual, I have no idea what you're saying.
Do you mean that Mr. Delight hid the body because he's the murderer? Ha! So you're not as stupid as you look. His metaphor this time was really obscure. I feel like he's just making a bunch of references I don't understand.
Mr. Wright, you don't mean you knew about this whole safe business, do you?
Well, yes.
Why am I the only one not in the loop here? Witness, make sure you add this to the testimony.
Yes, sir. Uh-oh, looks like a storm front is moving in over the fair weather judge. About 10 minutes. Do we not have anything about the safe? I thought we did. Why did you hide the body in the safe anyways? Well, because it wouldn't fit in a drawer. That's not exactly what I meant. When I saw that corpse, I kinda lost it. I thought, if they find his corpse, they'll think I did it. Ha! I think you had a simpler reason than that. It's because you killed him. That's why you spent 10 minutes hiding the body.
That certainly makes more sense.
Hold on. 10 minutes? What is it, Nick? I just had a thought. Under those circumstances, would you normally try to hide the body and spend 10 whole minutes trying to do it? Under those circumstances? What circumstances? Oh, hey Nick, you think his behavior was so strange? Why don't you present some evidence that would show just what those circumstances were? That's it. I'll take a look. Okay. I think it's the buzzer, actually. We heard this from Mr. Delight yesterday, didn't we? There's not much in this testimony either. Bet he's still hiding something. I wouldn't be surprised. We'll just have to draw it out of him. I just hope he doesn't make things out any more complicated. Okay, line in there. Dead.
Yes!
Your Honor, could you please take a look at this record?
And what might this be?
The record for the emergency buzzer that connects the CEO's office to security. If the button in the office is pressed, a security team is supposed to come running. And according to this record, the buzzer was pushed once at 1:02 a.m.
What?
If Mr. Ron Delight was truly the murderer, he would have ran as soon as that buzzer sounded. After all, a security guard would have been heading his way. Ha! Let's remember who we're dealing with here. He probably had no idea there were security personnel in the building. Up until 1 year ago, my client was working as a chief of security. There's no way he wouldn't have known about them. But, as it turns out, the guard never came. That was nothing more than a coincidence. The fact that the guard was a pathetic loser who had just gotten punched in the face by his ex's new boyfriend. It wasn't anywhere in the vicinity was not something Mr. Delight could have known. Ha! Again, remember who we're dealing with here. It's a sure bet that Mr. Delight didn't even notice the buzzer going off. This buzzer is extremely loud. There is no way he could have ignored something like that. If he had been conscious, that is.
Conscious? What do you mean by that?
Fine. Let's hear your theory. Remember the defendant's testimony. The moment he entered the victim's office, someone attacked him. Mr. Delight said he felt dazed, and willing to wager that he was knocked unconscious for at least a few minutes.
Unconscious? So he fainted?
That's why Mr. Delight didn't know that the buzzer had sounded. And that's why he thought he had time to hide the body. So what are you trying to say? Mr. Delight was knocked out, and the buzzer went off soon afterwards. Now, unless my client was able to hit the buzzer while he was unconscious, it can only mean that there was another person in that room. That's right, whoever it was that knocked out Ron Delight and then pressed the buzzer.
Order in the court, Mr. Wright. This is...
This is preposterous. It was this kid. Ron Delight is the one who killed Kane Bullard. Then who pressed the buzzer? It was the victim, of course. He pressed the buzzer when the defendant attacked him. He didn't die right away. He must have held on long enough to push that button.
So Kane Bullard sounded the buzzer himself. What is your opinion on this, Mr. Wright?
I need to prove that the real criminal was there at the scene, but how? Can I prove that it wasn't Kane Bullard who sounded the buzzer? I can, actually, because there were no fingerprints, but I'm going to save just in case because this game is stupid sometimes. The defense's opinion is this, Your Honor. This piece of evidence proves that it wasn't the victim who sounded the buzzer. Yes! I believe this is the piece of incontrovertible evidence you were looking for.
The emergency buzzer? Is there some kind of clue on it?
Absolutely not. Hey, come on now. At least give me some thought. Give some thought to what you say before opening your mouth. The fact that there are absolutely no clues is itself the clue.
Now I'm the one who's clueless.
This button has no fingerprints on it. If Mr. Bullard really had pressed it himself, naturally he would have left his fingerprints behind. Ron Delight obviously wiped them off. Why would he? A guard could have come in at any moment. He touched that button. I know he did. The defendant, Mr. Delight, was dressed as Master Mask. And Master Mask always wears gloves. What reason could he have possibly had to wipe the free of fingerprints?
Order! Order! Order!
Ha! It would seem I've been forced to eat crow. I wonder what blend number crow flavored coffee is.
However, if the real killer was there at the scene, then why would that person press the emergency buzzer? Shouldn't they have run away without putting themselves in extra danger?
No, come on, I know the answer to this.
What's with this awkward silence all of a sudden?
Ha! It looks like you're fresh out of parlor tricks. They're on to you, Nick! Just give me a minute to collect my thoughts. Come on, no, I know what it is. The real culprit killed Mr. Bullard around 1 a.m. And Mr. Delight just happened to waltz in when the murder was taking place, right? The killer clobbered Mr. Delight and then sounded the buzzer. Even though security was supposed to respond right away if the buzzer was pressed, security was supposed to respond.
Time's up, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you have to say.
Very well, then. Oh, you got some guts. I like that in an opponent.
Why did the real killer sound the emergency buzzer?
To find out what it did. The killer knew that if they pressed that button, a guard would come running. And that was exactly what they wanted.
Do you mean to say the killer caught the guard on purpose?
Yes, although as it turned out, he never showed up. Because he was getting his clock cleaned at the time. Ha! What a touching story. You're saying the killer had to change her heart and called the guard to turn himself in. No, I'm not. When that buzzer sounded, there were 3 people in that office. The victim, Kane Bullard, who was already dead. The defendant, Ron Delight, who was out cold. And the 3rd person, the real killer, who apparently is Detective Atme. Hypothetically, yes. Now then, in this situation, if the real killer made an escape, what would happen? The only ones left in the room would be the victim and Ron Delight. And if any security guards came running in at that time, they would think that I was the murderer. Yes, that was precisely the real killer's objective, to frame Ron Delight for the murder. I'm not actually spitting, don't worry, I'm just breathing very hard. You're humans, you know how to do it. Order! 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 It would seem I've been made to eat my words once again. Actually, you've been made to do a spit take with a cup of coffee. Mr. Wright, who was it? Who was it that tried to frame me? Wait a second. I'm the one and only Master Mask, so... Nick, you mean the real killer is... We're gonna drag that person in here right now. But who is it? I don't have any solid proof yet, but think about it. The killer knew Mr. Delight's identity, and they also knew that he had been called to KB security that night. So the killer used him to execute a well-crafted plan to murder Kane Bullard. Now then, let's hear your accusation, Mr. Wright. Who was it that framed Mr. Ron Delight for the murder of Kane Bullard? I mean, Luke Atme. They keep showing the silhouette, so he's the only person I can think of. Detective Luke Atme. He's the only one who could have done it. Ace Detective Luke Atme? You mean Master Mask did it? Your Honor, the person being tried in the court next to us is not Master Mask at all. He is, in actuality, the true murderer of Kane Bullard. Order! Order! Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Theft and murder. Which is the more serious crime? They're not even close. Murder is the more serious crime, of course. It's a capital crime subject to a capital punishment. Please remember the trial from yesterday, if you would. When Luke Atme confessed, there was a huge commotion in the courtroom. Of course, the famous detective was unmasked as Master Mask. Instead of being convicted of murder, he was found guilty of grand larceny. That was his true objective all along. To be found guilty? Master Mask had the perfect alibi for when the murder took place. He was stealing the urn at Lordly Taylor. In other words, being found guilty as Master Mask was Luke Atme's airtight, waterbite, and unassailable alibi. A guilty verdict as an alibi? Oh snap, boys. You know, it's almost time. For what? For Luke Atme's verdict. It was a pretty simple trial, after all. If we're gonna stop this trial and stall that one, we need to do it now. Of course, that's assuming you have proof that the detective was the one who committed the murder. Mr. Luke Atme's trial has indeed attracted the attention of the entire country. We were to intrude and fail to provide an adequate proof of this true crime. Mr. Delight will be left with no grounds for appeal. Am I really sure about this? Ha! I bet it's only good when your life's the ante. Mr. Wright, I believe in you. Mr. Delight. So, please, I'm begging you. Thanks, but my decision will determine the rest of your life. Can I really risk your life like this? Phoenix. What was that? Don't stray, Phoenix. For your client, take the path of trust. That voice. It sounds like... Mia. Your Honor, the defense requests an immediate recess. Ha! So that's your answer, huh? Very well, I've decided as well. The court will now take a 20-minute recess. Mr. Wright, when we return, please summon Mr. Luke Atme to the stand. Yes, Your Honor. Detective Atme.
I have to say, Mr. Payne, you performed splendidly.
Oh no, Sir Detective Atme. You were the one who...
That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong this trial. The court finds the defendant, Luke Atme. Wait! Don't hand down your verdict yet, please!
Well, well, Sir Lawyer, welcome to my courtroom.
Who's this hoser, eh? My name is Phoenix Wright, attorney at law, and I wish to file an accusation against this man, Luke Atme.
Accusation? You accuse Master Mask?
That man is not Master Mask. He's just a ruthless murderer.
What?
Oh, he's sweating, boys. He knows.
To be continued already. We're only 40 minutes into this.
Well, should I just go the way and finish it? I think I should just go the way and finish it. What do you guys think? Actually, I'm gonna check how long it is. Trials and tribulations walkthrough. Here, let me get some music going at least. I didn't hit that actually. If you could, that is not what I hit. I hit the second part of the trial and I was like, you want the first part of the trial? It's like, no. I mean, that's a lot of stuff, but like, it'll take me like, what, an hour? Let's do it. Why not? Yep, we're gonna go all the way through, guys.
My sis?
I could have sworn I heard Mia's voice.
So then, she's still alive, inside your heart. Nicky boy.
Oh, Mr. Light.
Is it true that detective is the real killer?
To be honest, we don't have any definitive proof. Definite, not definitive, sorry. But he's the only one who could have done it.
But wasn't he at Lordly Taylor that night? Not to mention, we don't exactly know his motive. I mean, why would Detective Atme want to kill Kane Bullard?
Oops, it's almost time. Better get back to the courtroom. Need to find some solid proof. It's gotta happen sooner rather than later. Now then, this court is back in session. Mr. Luke Atme, please take the stand.
Ah, yes, I get to do this voice again. Well, well, how do you do, Sir Lawyer?
I never would have thought to see you acting so recklessly. I couldn't let them hand down your verdict just yet. Not when it would have given you your perfect alibi. An alibi by the name of Master Mask. I'm sorry, I'm afraid even the great Luke Atme has no idea what you mean. Of course, I've been in the next courtroom ever since 10 o'clock this morning. I'm afraid there's no way I could know what's been going on in here. You've been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Master Mask. Indeed, it is truly child's play to fool the ignorant masses. Not only did the poor fools ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning their own property to them. To this red diamond ring that sparkles upon my divine finger, for example. So you continue to insist that you are in fact Master Mask. Of course. Very well then, Luke Atme. Let us begin with this simple question. On October 12th at 1 a.m., Kane Bullard was murdered. Where were you at that time? One without knowledge lacks even knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself. But don't worry, I will not hold it against you, Sir Judge. Aw, thanks. Alright, Mr. Atme, the night of the murder, speak. We're listening. As you wish, Sir Prosecutor. Let's go, boys! The alibi. I was stealing the urn as Master Mask, just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. At the time at which the camera captured Master Mask was the same time as the murder. Seems the main point of discussion will be this photo of the crime scene. Everything else up till now was all part of his plan. There has to be a secret to this picture as well. Has to do with the fact that the box. Even the great Master Mask cannot be in two places at once. Now then, if you'll excuse me, I have a verdict to receive. Unfortunately, Mr. Atme, we still have to do your cross-examination. A fool is too foolish to know that he is a fool.
I think he's trying to say that you're full of it, Nick.
The only thing that's full of it is his alibi. I don't see anything glaring right away. So this photograph is the proof, correct? Indeed it is. And the man in the photo is certainly wearing a mask. This is why I'm called Master Mask. But conveniently, that also means that there is no way to tell who this really is. What do you mean?
Ha! Are you saying that this is not, in fact, Luke Atme? That it could be an accomplice dressed up as Master Mask to create an alibi?
Oh, what an interesting idea. Are you saying that I, Lone Wolf Luke, had an accomplice? Who would it be? There's really no one it could be.
The only thing I could think of would be Adrian Andrews.
Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna check on this because I'm really not sure, but I don't think so. Nope. Nope. That's all I checked. Don't worry.
Then the Master Mask in this picture has to be a fake. Then there really was an accomplice. But right now, I have no idea who it was. I don't have any idea right now either. Baseless objections are what this guy wants. There's gotta be another way. And I'm going to find it. I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point.
That's right. That was over 20 days ago, if I'm not mistaken.
You sent the calling card to Lordly Taylor 10 days before the heist. That would mean you sent out the card after you began your security watch, right?
Indeed. There was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my latest target. Oh, I see. You truly are evil, aren't you?
Yes, evil is what I am. Hey Nick, isn't there something odd about this? Detective Atme was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if the urn was stolen from Lordly Taylor while he was the only one watching it, he'd have no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona.
You know, that's true. It is kind of odd. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory.
About the camera that took this photograph.
Oh, come now. It's all too clear what you're thinking.
Huh?
You think I altered the timestamp on the photograph, don't you?
I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lordly Taylor, and on top of that, it was Lordly Taylor's staff that printed the picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, there's no way that picture could have been altered.
I see.
Looks like I better find something else that could be suspicious. So this alibi is false?
It has to be, or he couldn't have killed Mr. Bullard at KB Security.
But I'm not really spotting anything unusual.
There are two possibilities. Either the Master Mask in this photo is a fake, or the photo itself is.
There's only one thing I can think of. No. I'm trying to say like the paint. It's not working. No. You're doing bad. Okay. I doubt it's that. No, okay. I didn't want to be like, well, technically, you pressed the buzzer at 102, so, no. Buzzer record. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something. Do not save, please. Megatama. I don't know. That's not what I want. I just want to go to the next thing. I wish I was a fast man for that. I'm kind of stumped right now. Alright, well, I don't want this section to take forever, so... I see. So, apparently now I can do this one, though. Come on, think long and hard about that night. The basement warehouse, and this picture that supposedly captures it. It's gotta be here. Isn't there something funny about this picture? You bet there is. Okay, I was trying to... Okay. Are you implying that this picture is a fake? You bet I am. There's definitely something strange about this picture. We take a look around the basement warehouse that night. We took a look, sorry. And there's something in this photo that doesn't match my memory of that night. Very well, let's hear what you have to say. What about this photograph do you find funny? Pretty sure I know what it is, but just to be safe. The funny part is right here. Why this is a blood stain. Oh, blood! Now this case is getting interesting. Not exactly. This stain is actually pink paint. Oh, just paint. And peach colored at that. From blood to peaches, the judge sure loves going on his wild tangents. The problem with this photograph is not the paint. The problem is, when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse, it turns out that something should have been there that is nowhere to be seen. Well, Mr. Wright? What is supposed to be in this picture instead of the paint stains? I'm gonna save because I don't want to. The supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following. Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it where you first saw it. I myself was there the night the theft took place, and saw the statue in that spot. If this picture was truly taken on that night, then that statue should have been there. But when I went there the day after the theft, that statue, the old bag, was sitting in the corner. Perhaps it was somehow pushed there accidentally?
Your Honor, this statue is slightly larger than yourself, and quite heavy. It would take more than an accidental push to move it that distance.
Ha! In that case, can you prove it? Can you give us the rhyme and reason as to why that statue was moved that night?
Can you do it, Nick?
Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it? Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you're prepared with your answer. Now, who was the one that moved the golden statue on the night of the crime? Master Mask? Nope. Man should be able to answer his own questions. That's what I think. Right now I'm busy trying to come up with 2 answers of my own. Why is coffee black? And why is it bitter? Mr. Wright, to put it simply, you've messed up.
What are you doing, Nick? You need to think about why that statue was moved.
Well, I don't want to have that on my record, so I'm gonna go back. Look at me? The one who moved the statue is none other than Look at me. Come now, Sir Lawyer. There you go again on one of your strange delusions. Mr. Wright, what basis you have for your strange delusions?
It's very simple. The witness was the only one in the basement warehouse that night.
I really need a drink of water. That is indeed very simple. However, why would I want to move a heavy golden statue?
The reason for moving the golden statue, here's where a battle really begins.
Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move that statue?
The reason can be found here in this photograph. Look at me. You pretended to be Master Mask to create an alibi by showing you were at Lordly Taylor that night. But this photograph contains a single fatal flaw. If the statue had been there, your lie would be exposed like a cheap film at a drugstore. That is why you moved the statue.
A single fatal flaw?
Interesting theory. Please enlighten us. Just where in this picture does the lie exist?
It's the box, but I'm gonna save because I'm scared. Save slot.
The lie is Master Mask.
Are you saying that this Master Mask is a fake?
Ha! You know, I really wish you would start acting more responsibly.
Huh?
The current question is, why was the golden statue moved? So what possible connection could there be with Master Mask's identity?
No, I was trying to do the box. Stupid. Okay, let's try this again. The box. Highlight. The box. It's the paint. Might be the paint. Take that! I don't. It's like right here. Take that! Take that!
Naturally, the line in this photo is the timestamp.
Well, what do you mean? Okay.
That's not what I was thinking, but whatever. I'll tell you exactly what I mean. On the night in question, Luke Atme went to KP Security and murdered Kane Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious. It would have been impossible for him to have been at Lordly Taylor at this time.
What does that have to do with the statue being moved?
Remember, if you will, Your Honor. When was this statue placed beside the warehouse door?
Well,
the statue was taken down to the warehouse on the day of the crime, and it was placed there in order to cover up the paint. Exactly. Luke Adamy had already decided on the time when he was going to kill the victim, and so, in order to create an alibi for that time, he took this picture days before the murder took place. What the? Of course, the statue hadn't yet been brought down to the basement warehouse yet. So, on the day of the crime, Mr. Adamy must have been quite nervous. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there had been brought down and placed where it wasn't supposed to be. And that is why Luke Adamy had to move the statue on the night of the murder. He did it to make the room match the way it had been in his photo. Ah!
Order, order! Mr. Adamy, is this true?
One moment, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this?
What's that?
The data from the basement warehouse computer. According to this, the camera did indeed go off on the night of the crime. It's true that the camera had been set up by the Lordly Taylor staff. However, the program used to manage that data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with the data.
Order! Order! Mr. Gatto, what is the meaning of this? Gatto, I warned you about making me wait. Now put that coffee down.
My 11th cup. Promised to drink no more than 17 during a trial, which means I'm so good to the last drop.
However, the defense is a very good point.
A good point? So what? We are all but travelers on a road of infinite points. I think you've got your points mixed up with your other points. So you say this photograph was taken ahead of time, but the statue was moved in order to make it match. It's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that can't be denied, which is that it's only a possibility. Men that are trapped by the chains of maybe can never reach their dreams.
That's very true.
No way. Don't fall for that, Your Honor. Hey, Mr. Damask.
Yes?
If there's no funny business in your actions as Master Mask, then there should be no problem with you telling us your strategy. So let's hear it.
Yes, please provide this court with your testimony about your plan to steal the sacred urn. Sacred urn heist. I first received the request from Lordly Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box, and Zavadi! It was then sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th.
That's pretty much all stuff we've heard before, isn't it? Yeah, but we will find the truth in the nuggets of new information he gave.
Witness, you sure there are no mistakes this time?
Zavadi.
Very well then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Oh. I see why some streamers take intermissions now.
Wait, this is incorrect.
You mean this calling card? That's right! That is, without doubt, my calling card. I guess Mr. Light didn't make this after all. Of course, because Atme knew about the emblem. Making this card authentic would have been child's play to him.
But that's not true. It's not extremely valuable, though. Maybe... Do I have anything saying it's not valuable? I don't think I have anything. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. I don't care about this.
And this is the photo that proves that, huh? Indeed. To be honest, even if a photo was taken, I didn't think it would matter terribly much.
Hey, Nick, this photo is a fake. Detective Atme might have stolen the urn whenever this was taken.
That's true. You know, he's been saying that he never saw the urn until that night. If we can prove that he's lying there, we can wrap this up and put a bow on it. You take...
What? I don't understand what they do up there. It seems to me like they're trying to make the most noise any human could possibly make, but... What? How do I say the pain? For the love of God, why are we not noticing this? There's nothing else I can... So annoying. No, okay, let's open like now. I don't know. God dang it. Oh, his calling card. Specifically, the speckled urn. Oh, okay, I got it. Yes! Oh my god! That took me so long to figure out. Mr. Wright, if you really are Master Mask, then you also wrote this calling card, correct? But of course. The problem with that calling card. Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Master Mask had written. Take good care of that speckled urn. Now, the speckled here surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn. Yes, that is true, but so what? Truth be told, there is no way that Master Mask could have known about this pattern. What do you mean? This pink spluttered pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains. Paint stains? And those stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lordly Taylor. I'm not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Wright. The day that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, the urn was broken due to human error, or should I say, an error-prone human. And that's when the paint got on the urn. You can't be serious. Yet this calling clerk clearly mentions the paint pattern. I'm sorry, that was in English. Which means Detective Atme had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when this fake photo was taken. Because this photo is a fake, your alibi from the night of the murder no longer holds water. Gah! I apologize for any headphone users. Oh boy, man. That took me forever. Witness, do you have anything to say for yourself? Alright, that did it. He's broken. Nick? I think it's still a little early for a victory pose. Huh? Ha! It's so sad. No one has any conviction these days. Conviction, you say? Yesterday, we all decided unanimously that this man was Master Mask, and now we're calling him a murderer. You don't think we're being a tad fickle? Well, that's a good point. No way, don't fall for that too, Your Honor. You say that Luke Atme was the one who killed Kane Bullard? Well, let me ask you this. Why would he do that? An excellent point. Motive, Mr. Wright's motive! Might you, my merry murderous motive manifest? Nick, he's getting his second wind. He prepared an alibi and pinned his crime on Ron Delight, as you say. He must have had a very strong motive for murder. The only one with any motive we've seen is Mr. Delight. Isn't that right, Detective? Indeed. According to my own research, the boy's motive is clear. Without a motive, it's nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us as to what the defendant's motives were. Thank you, Sir Old-Timer. They're doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious. Despite our lack of hard info, this may be our only chance. 1 second, guys. Spider lack for information is maybe your only chance. I think I read that. Luke Atme, had no points of contact with the victim whatsoever. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Master Mask and simply mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight, and it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is Master Mask. That is why Mr. Delight saw it fit to kill Kane Bullard. Truly a tragedy. So the victim, Kane Bullard, blackmailed the defendant? This is the blackmail letter found in the defendant. You know what? A handwriting test confirms that Mr. Bullard was indeed the one who wrote the letter. What? My computer is lagging. Well, Mr. Wright, begin your cross-examination. Whatsoever. Can I prove that wrong right now? Who in the world is going to prove that? I will. After doing a thorough background check of Detective Atme and Kane Bullard, we were unable to find any links between them. It's all in the report. Perhaps they were connected through their work? They were both involved in security. Nope. That was blunt. In any case, the only one with the motive is Mr. Delight. Okay. I just want to make sure it wasn't that easy. Simply mistook who he was. Save state again? No. Okay, I just wanted to, a lot of these I'm not fully convinced on. I just want to make sure it's not something like that. Mistook? That's right, mistook, from the Old Norse mistaka, meaning to take an error. That wasn't what I meant. Why, the answer is obvious. Ron Delight, of course. Ooh, I like the way that smuggles off this guy's face. Why would the victim mistake the defendant for mask to mask? Sorry, my voice is starting to leave me, so I'm only gonna do the voices for. Don't you already know that? Savari. Take a look at this newspaper. Oh, that's the famous tear of Emanon, a magnificent jewel. That photo shows a magnificent detective as well, does it not? Furthermore, it also shows an ugly god, namely the defendant. The defendant? The victim clearly misread this article in Savari, got the wrong impression. Impression that this ugly security guard was in fact mask to mask. I see. That was an unusually reasonable deduction. You mean this blackmail letter right here? It says bring 50,000. And the handwriting is without a doubt the victim's? No mistake, we have an official report to prove it. But I don't see any This letter was discovered in Ron Delight's apartment. Mr. Light did show up at the designated place in time. The fact that there is no address here is irrelevant. No wonder. What's up, Nick? I just had a thought. What if that blackmail letter wasn't meant for Mr. Delight? Well, do you have any evidence of that? For some reason, I just can't shake the feeling that there's something not quite right about this blackmail letter. Well, everyone, are you quite satisfied? We don't have anything that proves that is incorrect. What do you mean by that? Oh my, I was certain you were already aware. The body. I really don't know. There's only one thing I can think of, and that's... not really clicking either. I don't know. And we're not like anywhere near done the trial, so okay. Not what I was expecting, but okay. 1, 2, 3. So apparently. Oh, okay. Mind if I ask you a few questions, Detective Atme? Well, if it's just a few, I guess it's alright. When you said that this letter was addressed to Ron Delight, oh, I'm dumb. I couldn't help but notice one major contradiction. Contradiction? I don't know where a walking contradiction like you gets off saying things like that. You want to talk? At times like these, men are made to express themselves with their fists. Why don't you show us what you got there, Junior? Indeed. Time to man up, Mr. Wright. Show us the contradicting evidence in the blackmail letter. I'm actually not sure. This, maybe? Ha! A little 2-1 punch like that wouldn't even faze me. I think you mean 1-2 punch. Mr. Wright, try thinking things through a little more before finding fault with others. I'm bad at this game, man. Like say anything about its no. I don't know. I can't think of it. Zach. Zach. You are a fool. Take a good look at this newspaper clipping. It contains a picture of the Tear of Emanon, the stolen jewel. Well, what about it? The problem is this jewel's color. Color? I'm not much for discussing color myself. According to the clipping, the color of the stolen jewel is blue. Oh, you probably should have noticed that. However, in the blackmail letter, a totally different jewel is mentioned. I'll take that red diamond you received the other day. Red? Which means, the red diamond described in the blackmail letter is not the tear of Emanon that Master Mask stole at all.
Objection!
And your point is, Mr. Wright? So you're trying to say that this blackmail letter was intended for someone else? That is what you're trying to say, right, Wright?
That's what you're trying to say, right, Mr. Wright?
Well, that's what you're trying to say, right, Nick? Yes. This is who Kane Bullard was actually blackmailing. Naturally, it was you, Detective Atme. Do you have some sort of basis for that claim? You've been personally involved in every single Master Mask case. And in the last case, you recovered what was stolen and received a jewel as your reward. A jewel? Probably the one wrapped conspicuously around your finger. That red diamond ring. That is the diamond referred to in the letters, which means that Kane Bullard wrote that letter in order to blackmail you. Ah!
Order on the court! Order, I say.
It seems you've gone too far with your childish pranks, Mr. Wright. Uh-oh. I don't like the way you said that. Kane Bullard blackmailing Luke Atme? Are you for real? Yes, I am. Yeah, come on, stand up to him. Then answer me this. The blackmail letter contains the following passage. If you don't want your identity revealed to the world...
Yes, it certainly does.
Kane Bullard threatened to make Luke Atme's identity public knowledge, an identity you wanted to keep a secret. So just what was that identity? Atme killed Kane Bullard because he was afraid of his secret becoming known. What was the identity he wanted to keep secret? This is what it all comes down to, Nick. The identity that Luke Atme wants so desperately to keep secret as his identity was...
I guess a blackmailer?
Luke Atme was a blackmailer.
Objection!
Hey now, isn't that a little different from what you've been saying? You said that Kane Bullard was the one blackmailing Luke Atme. Are you saying that Atme was blackmailing someone on top of that? You have to admit, that does sound a little odd. It's not odd. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme. But Ron DeLite was also being blackmailed by a certain someone.
So did you start to receive blackmail letters starting after this incident?
Yes, just a few days after the Tears of Emanon heist. After that, I started getting the plans in the mail. I received plans from some very kind person, incredibly detailed plans.
Detailed plans? In which case, that would mean that Ron DeLite was actually Master Mask.
That is what we are claiming. Someone else came up with the plans and had Mr. DeLite seal his targets for him. And that someone was none other than Luke Atme. Shh! Silence!
Now I see. It's all becoming clear. What is?
When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Careless, with a tendency to jump to conclusions. Am I wrong? How did you... You say that I, Luke Atme, was blackmailing Ron DeLite, in which case, I would naturally know all about his relation to Master Mask. Well, yes. Ron DeLite started receiving plans from his second crime onward, correct? Which means, I learned of his identity when he committed the first crime.
Good point. You certainly couldn't have blackmailed him otherwise.
In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first crime, how did Luke Atme know that Ron DeLite was Master Mask?
Master Mask.
I think I see it.
See what?
When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into lots of mischief trying to be the center of attention. What do you mean? This newspaper clipping. It has a picture of you and Ron DeLite in his guard uniform. Seems that Master Mask didn't just disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in a bucket.
Wow, that sounds far too stupid to be true.
Correct! With tricks like that, he couldn't fool a baby, let alone an ace detective. And that's when you figure it out, Mr. Atme. That's when you learn that under his mask, Master Mask was really Ron DeLite. What the? Wasn't he supposed to be mask to mask? Not only that, it looks like he wasn't even an ace detective. I can't believe it. He was just a slimy blackmailer. What a fraud! Trying to pass himself off as an ace detective. Why, you? How dare you expose me like that? Why, I mean, I never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm a famous and proud detective and also mask to mask. Why can't you understand that? I'm afraid you are neither a proud thief nor an ace detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. That is your true identity. Why, you? How dare you even to think of your fault? Why not try doing something yourself with those big mouths of yours, you real fools? I see none of you can compare to my genius. You're really just jealous. So good. It's enough to make one laugh. My zipper keeps hitting my chair. Seems we finally gotten to the real answer. That was quite a performance by Mr. Atney. Belief, please prepare yourself for Mr. Atney. The hammer that strikes too fast is no time to aim. What do you mean? I already prepared to deliver my sentence. Allow me to say one thing. I will be the one to judge. You don't get much more in your face than that. It appears that your claws weren't quite sharp enough, Mr. Wright. Where do you... It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Luke Atney was a filthy blackmailer, and that he wasn't at Lordly Taylor the night of the murder. That's right! That's why he's the one who killed Mr. But... there's still one thing you have yet to prove. What's that? Just because he wasn't at the warehouse doesn't mean he was the murderer at this crime. You know what? Therefore, you can't prove that this pitiful excuse for a man was at KB's security, then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered. No way! Order! Order in the court! Well, Mr. Wright? This is it. This is the final round. I've got to prove that Atney was at Mr. Bullock's office on that night. But, can you really prove that? That's long enough, Mr. Wright. I want to hear your answer. That night, Luke Atney was at KB Security, and the defense... can prove it. The defense can prove it, with evidence. Are you sure? Ha! Don't you worry, I'll watch over you as you break down and fall to pieces. Very well then, let's see this proof. Proof that Luke Atney was at KB Security that night. This is the proof. It's true. That is very important. However, I'm not so foolish as to think that will pass for evidence here. Mr. Wright, it's time you learn the true flavor of life. The flavor of my special Gato blend number 49. Well, Mr. Wright? It's bitter. Very bitter. I don't know why I thought that would work. I don't know. Nope. Oh, shoot. Always can't prove it. Whatever, it's just a little bit of health, right? I can't prove it. just as I thought. But, if we hear more of Detective Atmey's testimony... Unfortunately, that's as far as you go, Mr. Wright. What do you mean? I won't allow for any more testimony, that's what I mean. What? Have you forgotten? Luke Atmey is here after we interrupted his own trial, and you have failed to prove that he committed the murder. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial, face his guilty verdict as mask to mask. No! Well now, Sir Lawyer, seems that love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as mask to mask. My verdict will verify that, just as Rhonda Lights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness. Order! Order in the court! That's enough deliberation over this witness. I can't believe this. At this rate, Ron is... Don't give it now, Nick. We still have tomorrow. We can look for more evidence and... By then, it'll be too late. Huh? Why? Double jeopardy. One of the basic rules of any court of law. Double jeopardy? Should a defendant be tried and found innocent in court, that defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. This is a fundamental rule of all courts. It applies to the witness as much as it applies to anyone else. Mr. Atmey will be found guilty in a matter of minutes. Guilty is mask to mask, which means he will be innocent as far as the murder of Kane Bullard is concerned. No way! The fact that you are unable to prove Mr. Atmey's guilt of that crime here means that he will never again be tried as Kane Bullard's murderer. Now, there's nothing I could possibly do to win. Even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent, the real killer, Luke Atmey, will go free. You will cross-examine every statement the witness has made here today, and as long as there is no more testimony, I'm afraid I have to declare that there will be no further questioning of this witness. Are there any more objections? Then I hereby end the cross-examination of Luke Atmey. I think I see it, Your Honor. When you were a child, this is what was on your report card every day. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result. How did you? Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? A lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad it gets. That voice. No way. Yeah, of course it's Mia. Who else it would be? Long time no see, Phoenix. Mia! This is the true power of the Korean channeling technique. I know that it's really Maya who's standing before me, but right now she's my mentor, Mia Fey. You don't need to tell me, game, I already know. Now, let's do this. But there's nothing more we can do, Mia. Without any more testimony, I can't cross-examine. Not yet. The testimony's not over yet. What do you mean? Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You've cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today. Yes, that's true, but... Unfortunately, Your Honor, you're forgetting something. Earlier, after the last cross-examination, this witness made up a number of remarks. The lawyer seems to love them. I'm ace as well, mask to mask. My verdict will verify that. This is Rhonda Lights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness. Yes, but these comments appear to have no importance whatsoever. Very well. Then we shall prove their importance via cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witness has made these remarks, we, the defense, assert our right to question them. Is that all right with you, prosecutor? Is something the matter, Mr. Gatto? Nothing. Oh, so lawyer, seems you are one step too late. You think such a falsehoods will do anything to me? Look at... Let's hear it. Huh? It's true that the witness made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination. Mr. Gatto, what are you... Very well then, look at me. I'll allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks. The defense would like to hear why you declared the defendant to be the true murderer. So please, give us one last bit of testimony. Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance. Yes, Chief. Whew. Indeed, it is true that I was not at Lordly Taylor. I had to leave to see about another vitally important job request.
I had known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph ready. My brilliant deduction was what informed me that the true culprit was Rhonda Light. Thanks to the keycard and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his mask outfit, which is why he left no prints. And the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. Zavadi! Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy. His testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well. Witnesses' earlier remarks do not appear to have been hastily prepared. All of his points have been explained, and none of them seem to contradict anything. But of course. But how did you know about the emergency buzzer? The police investigation documents went directly through me. Now I always look over the documents. It's elementary, sir lawyer. You're going to make even more trouble for us now, sir lawyer. I will not allow any of your usual shenanigans, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. Cannot postpone Luke Atmy's trial any longer. This is your last chance. Hang on a sec. Just one chance? Ha! Seems that the party's about to begin. Well, Phoenix, there isn't any evidence that contradicts the testimony. So it would seem. What do you mean, so it would seem? Listen, Phoenix, pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean you have to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance. If you can't point out a case-breaking contradiction, you lose. That's all there is to it. Cup number 17, the last cup. Seems the trial has come to an end. I have to find a fatal contradiction in this testimony, and need to point it out without presenting evidence. Which means all I can do to find the contradiction. Remember, you only get one chance.
Very well, then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your final cross-examination.
Oh, my voice is dead. More like my throat, but you know what I mean. Mr. Atney, about this last remark. You still don't get it, do you, Wright? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement. Whoa. I said this before. There's still one thing you haven't proven. This scum was in Kane Bullard's office that night. And now, it's time for me to drink my last cup.
Mr. Wright, I will hold you to the end of your bargain.
Okay, that was not correct.
Objection!
Kind of just like find the right one, isn't it? I wish it wasn't so long. It's annoying. Just to be safe. Sometimes, you know, the game is kind of like...
Objection! Objection! Objection!
Am I doing this wrong? I'm kind of confused. Like, I feel like I've done all of these. I don't know. I'm confused. It's the ninth one. I thought I did that already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Objection!
Oh, here we go. Sorry. I didn't realize it was always... My bad. I'm afraid you're the one who still doesn't get it, Gato. What? Mr. Atme, seems you finally admitted that you were in the CEO's office on the night of the murder. God dang it. That was my fault. I'm sorry. How can you say that? Let's review your testimony, shall we, Mr. Atme? The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? Mr. Delight was wearing his masked mask outfit, is that correct? Indeed. That's... Excuse me what I said. My deductions are absolutely foolproof. More like your deductions prove that you're a fool. I'm sorry. Whatever do you mean? For some reason, I'm starting to get really thirsty. When exactly did we learn the fact that Ron Delight was dressed as Master Mask when he went to the scene of the crime? That was, it was just a few hours ago. Back when my sixth cup was looking at me with a cold stare. Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. That's right. The defendant had yet to tell anyone else this fact before this morning. Therefore, the only people who should know this are those who have been watching this trial. Do you understand now, Detective Atme? There is no way that you could have known about this. You were in the next courtroom being tried as Master Mask. So then, enlighten us. Just how did you know about that piece of information? Well... Come on, this detective must have known about it. Probably had plenty of chances to find out beforehand. And it's those chances that I want to discuss next. That night, Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mask outfit. There's one and only one way for Detective Atme to have found that out. Only one. One way, you say? Please remember, if you will, Mr. Delight's testimony. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. For a second, my client witnessed the real killer. But Mr. Delight never saw him. There's no way to tell whether or not the real killer was Luke Atme. It's with that statement that I'll turn this case on its head. Just what are you implying? Mr. Delight saw the real killer, correct? Now, you turn that statement around. It stands to follow that the real killer had also seen Ron Delight. Impossible. Detective Atme, you saw Masked Mask at the murder scene that night. You saw him when you killed Kane Bullard and assaulted Ron Delight. That was the only way you could have known what Ron was wearing. Take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself. Here I am, the tragic clown. Well, that's the same line you gave yesterday. But I think there's a little more meaning behind it this time. What an awfully complicated incident. Kane Bullard, who was blackmailing Luke Atme, who was in turn blackmailing Ron Delight. And upon killing his blackmailer, Luke Atme tried to frame Ron Delight. He then claimed to be guilty as Masked Mask in order to escape his true crime. And to that end, he came up with this plan. To us, to use the double jeopardy rule when making his alibi. At any rate, it would seem we finally found the truth. Excuse me. I came perilously close to besmirching the record of an innocent young man. Besmirching him with the title of murderer. Don't ignore me! Oh, I didn't realize you were there. Why wouldn't he be? About the verdict. I know. You never committed any murder. That's right. I'm so glad you understand that, but I really am Masked Mask. So, thanks to that trial yesterday, I'm innocent now, right? What was it you said? Double jeopardy? Now that you mention it. I've been careless. Careless? What do you think, Mia? As the defendant says, the rule of double jeopardy is absolute. A defendant can never be tried twice for a crime in which he was found innocent. Then, Masked Mask is really innocent? For now. It would seem so. For now. Now then, this court finds the defendant not guilty. Woo! We did it, boys! Beat you twice, Gatto. How do you like that? Boy, this is really lucky. Wait, that isn't so good after all. You see, the thing is, I still am Masked Mask after all. You did it, Nick. Thanks, Mia. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Yeah, it's because Maya doesn't call on me much these days. Oh? I'm just joking, Phoenix. Don't take everything so seriously. But on the other hand, Maya, she seems kind of lost these days. You mean about becoming the master of the Korean channeling school? Becoming the master means saying goodbye to our mother. You mean Misty Faye? Watch over her, will you, Phoenix? Of course. Well then, see you around. Mia. Mr. Wright, I don't know what to say. Congratulations, Mr. Delight. Thank you so much. No, wait. Nothing really matters anymore, though, now that all this has happened. Come on, just be happy already. Maya. You've been cleared of the murder charges and got off as Masked Mask to boot. But in exchange, I lost everything. Huh? What do you mean? Stealing security information from KB Security, becoming Masked Mask. I did it all for one reason, for her. You mean your wife, Desiree? She hates criminals more than anything. Come to think of it, she was once held hostage by some robbers, wasn't she? She always said how she hated sneaky criminals. I knew that, but once I got fired from KB Security and lost all the money I had, she wouldn't have had any reason to stay with me. I thought she would leave me for sure. So that's why you became Masked Mask? Yes, but it's all over now. A broken bowl can never be put back together. That's not true, right, Nick? Right. Really? Can we go back to the way things were? You'll be fine, and Nick can prove it. I can?
I kinda wish you would check with me first. Mr. Delight, even if a bowl is broken, there's always a way to put it back together. The sacred urn? Desi was the one who found this. Desiree, your wife, she's always believed in you, Ron. That's why you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about anything. Ah, there you are. Miss Delight. You did it, Ronnie. You're innocent. I'm so happy. Thank you. I appreciate that, but, I suppose you don't want anything more to do with me, do you? Ronnie, why didn't you talk to me about what was going on? I had no idea you quit KB Security. Never imagined that you're really mask to mask either. Miss Delight, what are you gonna do now that you know? You're not gonna really leave him, are you? Come on, it's obvious, isn't it? How could I ever let a wonderful man like him get away? After all, my bike's really fast. So fast there's no way he could ever get away. But didn't you say that you hated criminals? Oh, I only hate people who act all cowardly and sneaky. Like that detective. I see. Marani went and declared his crimes before he committed them like a man. Chivalrous? I knew I was right about you. Every day I spend with you is filled with thrills and excitement. Desiree, you really do love Ron, don't you? Nicky boy. Yes? I'm really glad I asked you to defend Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'll never forget what you've done for us. Oh, well, take care of yourself. You too, Nicky boy. I can feel my face going red. Mr. Nick, Mystic Maya, congratulations! Talk about bad timing. Ow, 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 ow. Well, my face is definitely red now. So just as the case came to a close, so too did my consciousness. Ron said a broken bowl can never be put back together, but I know that's not true. I mean, just look. Hey, that's the picture I used for the last thumbnail. Here's a perfect example of one that was put back together even better than before. Wow, we're like exactly at the 2-hour mark. That's pretty nice. The Stolen Turnabout, the end. Woo! Finished it faster than I probably should have, but whatever. Recipe for Turnabout. I'm pretty sure this chapter is like really short for some reason. But without further ado, hope you guys have enjoyed this super long stream. Well, at least for me. I know a lot of people do this regularly, but I kind of want to aim for this to be my regular stream time anyway. So, oh, we should check out the picture too. Ah, that's pretty cool. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next stream. Peace out.